Hello YouTube, how are you all doing? Thank you for joining me. I'm Wayne. If this is your first time here, if you've been here before, thanks for joining me again. Right, since I've been checking out a lot of rock recently, I came across this, Every Rock Era Explained in 18 Minutes. So I thought I'd give it a go. Oh, where's my blood? There it is. Lost my cursor then. Right, I'll give it a subscribe and a like. Oh, need my earphones, put that down a minute. A cup of tea. It's quite a long video this one. I thought I'd have a cup of tea for this. Lovely. Right, let's go.
Roll emerged in the United States in the early 1950s as a new musical genre, rock and roll. Rock and roll emerged in the United States in the early
See, I knew this bit. I want to see how much I know through this.
1950s as a new musical genre, born from the intersection of several traditions: rhythm and blues, gospel, and country music.
I didn't know
This
that.
style took root in African American communities in the South, where artists like Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Fats Domino, and Big Joe Turner used amplified instruments and dynamic rhythms
I've heard of Fats Domino. I never heard of the other two people. So quite a lot so far I've not known. Right at the beginning I'm like, I know this bit. I don't.
to create an innovative musical form. Despite their decisive contributions, they were often sidelined in the commercial circuits of the time. In 1954, Elvis Presley's recording of That's All Right for Sun Records marked a turning point. A young white singer from Memphis, Presley drew heavily from the vocal and stage styles of black musicians, helping to popularize rock and roll among a wider audience. Other artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Bo Diddley, and Jerry Lee Lewis also helped define the genre's core elements: electric
Heard of all of them except for Little Richard.
guitars, rhythmic lyrics, and high-energy performances. Technological
Oh,
Look, it's a giant duck!
and media advances
if there's too many of them and it's too long, I'll edit it out.
helped accelerate the development of rock and roll, helping to popularize rock and roll among a wider audience. Other artists like Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Bo Diddley, and Jerry Lee Lewis also helped define the genre's core elements: electric guitars, rhythmic lyrics, and high-energy performances. Technological and media advances helped accelerate the development of rock and roll. The rise of portable radios, jukeboxes, and 45 RPM records made the genre more accessible, especially to young people. Television shows like American Bandstand brought these artists to national attention. This era also saw the emergence of a true youth music market, with rock serving as a cultural identity marker. Despite its success, rock and roll faced
I feel like all that I can't even say it, technological stuff coming out back then, right? If you weren't born into it and it came along, like for me and a lot of people watching this, because you're all around my age, my audience, it'd be the same as smartphones coming out, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel as though it'd be a lot crazier than record players and that coming back out back then. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I feel as though it'd be about the equivalent.
strong opposition. Religious and political figures denounced its supposedly subversive influences. The genre's African American roots and its celebration of the body and individual freedom sparked public debate. Yet these criticisms only bolstered rock's popularity as it continued to spread nationwide. By the late 1950s, rock and roll was firmly
Spread nationwide and showing an old picture of the globe.
entrenched in the American music industry. The tragic deaths of figures like Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper in 1959 marked
Never
a
heard of
key
Big
moment
Bopper.
in its history. Still, these events didn't slow its rise. Rock and roll entered a new phase, ready to evolve into forms that would define the next decade: British invasion. In the early 1960s, a musical phenomenon
Not
from the
again.
United Kingdom profoundly reshaped the global rock scene. Known as the British Invasion, this movement truly began in 1964 with the arrival of the Beatles in the United States. Their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show drew tens of millions of viewers and marked a pivotal moment in American music.
So far, this is very, what's the word? Commentated by an American. I don't know if it's AI. I think it is an actual person talking. American centric, is that what I'm trying to say? Who called it a British invasion? The Americans? I'm sure we did we? I weren't around, so I don't know. Let me know if everyone called it the British invasion.
History. The Beatles' success paved the way for a wave of British bands conquering the US market. The Rolling Stones, the Kinks, the Animals, and the Who. These groups reinterpreted blues, rock and roll, and folk with a fresh aesthetic. Their songs, often more aggressive or sophisticated than those of their predecessors.
Mick Jagger, he hasn't aged, has he? At all. He was either born old or whatever, but he just hasn't aged. Still looks the same, doesn't he?
Redefined audience expectations and left a
I've just said that and I've got doubt in my head now. Is he actually still with us? I'm sure he is.
lasting mark on the music industry. Each band developed a unique identity. The Beatles blended vocal harmony and sonic experimentation. The Rolling Stones opted for a raw, provocative style, while The Who brought theatrical destruction and conceptual storytelling to the stage. This diversity reflected the cultural ferment of the 1960s, a time of social upheaval, protest, and a rising youth consciousness. Economically, the British invasion disrupted the music industry's status quo. American labels revised their strategies, and international
Youth consciousness. So what gave them that then? The portable records and that, and listening to people from all over the world. So again, it's like smartphones. The so-called youth consciousness now. I feel like smartphones have made people dumber. I don't know. I feel as though it's made me dumber. I've lost my concentration span, I can tell you that. I feel like most people have. Doom scrolling, as they call it.
tours became more common. This era also marked the album's emergence as a full artistic statement. American labels revised their strategies, and international tours became more common. This era also marked the album's emergence as a full artistic statement, gradually replacing the single as the standard unit. The British invasion unfolded alongside broader socio-political movements. The 1960s saw civil rights campaigns, pacifist activism, and challenges to traditional authority. British artists joined this cultural shift by incorporating social, psychedelic, or philosophical themes into their lyrics. By the decade's end, the movement gave way to more psychedelic and progressive musical forms. Yet its impact endured. It contributed to rock's globalization,
This video was created by AI.
professionalized
No cameras.
bands, and established new artistic standards that would shape future generations. Hard rock. Hard rock emerged in the late 1960s, mainly in the UK and the US, as a louder, more amplified evolution of rock music. It was defined by distorted electric guitars, intense rhythms, powerful vocals, and commanding stage presence. Drawing from blues rock, psychedelic rock, and garage
See, if you've seen any of my videos before, I spoke on the Whammy Bar and asked a few questions about that. But I wonder if they talk on that by chance. But, oh Jesus Christ, I watch so many American videos. By chance, by any chance it should be, I should say. Forgot what I was saying again now. It'll come back to me.
rock, hard-boarded electric guitars,
The Whammy Bar, that's it. I wonder if they're going to talk about when that was introduced. I feel as though it's probably coming to this sort of point, this sort of time. I'm guessing.
intense rhythms, powerful
Let me know if you
vocals,
know.
and commanding stage presence. Drawing from blues rock, psychedelic rock, and garage rock, hard rock quickly carved out its niche. Among its founding acts, Led Zeppelin holds a central place. Formed in 1968, the band blended raw energy with musical sophistication. Deep Purple, active during the same period, favored technical prowess, marked by memorable riffs and virtuosic solos. Black Sabbath, also formed in 1968, introduced a darker tone, tackling themes like death, war, and religion, laying the groundwork for heavy metal while remaining rooted in hard rock. In the 1970s, the genre expanded globally. Australia's AC/DC built its identity on simple, effective structures and energetic performances. In the US, Aerosmith
I never knew that AC/DC was Australian. Didn't know that.
blended hard rock
I didn't have a clue where I thought it was from.
with blues influences, while Kiss captivated audiences with elaborate visuals and spectacular concerts. Queen pushed the genre into melodic and theatrical directions. Hard rock remained distinct from heavy metal, which grew faster, darker, and more technical. Hard rock kept a more traditional musical structure and melodic richness. making it more accessible to mainstream audiences. The 1980s marked a commercial peak, with glam metal's rise, defined by catchy choruses, media saturation, and flamboyant visuals. Bands like Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, and Def Leppard packed stadiums and dominated MTV. Hard rock became a mass cultural product. By the late 1980s, its influence waned, challenged by grunge and alternative movements. Yet many hard rock bands continued to record, tour, and influence the music scene. The genre remains a cornerstone of rock history, known for its power, longevity, and cross-generational appeal. Glam rock and punk. At the turn of the 1970s, two opposing currents emerged almost simultaneously within rock music. Glam rock emphasized flamboyance and theatricality, while punk rejected any form of sophistication. Together, they represented two different ways of challenging established norms. Glam rock originated in the UK, championed by artists like David Bowie, T-Rex, Roxy Music, and Sweet. These
Is it Bowie or Bowie? I haven't got a clue. How did David himself say it? I think he's my dad's favourite artist of all time. One of, if not the. So I should ask him whether it's Bowie or Bowie. I thought about asking him, to be fair. As I say, I've only just got into rock, so...
musicians embraced the codes of performance and pushed them to extremes. Makeup, androgynous outfits, and provocative postures. Their music remained accessible, built around pop structures and catchy choruses, but image played an equally vital role. Bowie, through his alter ego Ziggy Stardust, introduced a new aesthetic, in which performance was as important as the song itself.
See, I never knew Ziggy Stardust was an alter ego. I just thought it was the name of an album. See, I didn't know that neither.
At the same time, punk was taking shape in the urban centers of London and New York. It emerged as a reaction against what its supporters viewed as the excesses of commercial rock. Bands like the Sex Pistols, The Clash, The Ramones, and Dead Boys rejected virtuosity, extended solos, and elaborate production. Their music was raw, loud, and often chaotic, featuring lyrics that were either politically engaged or cynically humorous. Punk celebrated spontaneity, attitude, and autonomy, often operating outside the traditional structure.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code.
Of the music industry, though glam and punk had humorous. Punk celebrated spontaneity, attitude, and autonomy, often operating outside the traditional structures of the music industry. Though glam and punk had different aims, they shared a common desire to break away from convention. Glam rock challenged gender norms and embraced ambiguous personas, while punk directly attacked institutions.
I didn't pause just to cough. I paused to say, I saw something not that long ago. I can't remember what it was or who said it, but somebody was saying to make a good frontman, a good rock star, it's femininity. They have to have quite a bit of femininity. Is that the right word? Femininity in them. And that's kind of what they're saying here, isn't it? And I was going to pause and say that a minute ago, but I thought, let it play a little bit. But I don't think it's just because they've got long hair. I don't think it's that. But yeah, it's definitely true, isn't it?
The media and politics. Their audiences were distinct, but their cultural impact was comparable. Glam rock reached its peak in the early 1970s, influencing fashion, television, and even film. While it didn't gain widespread popularity in the US, it paved the way for glam metal in the following decade. Punk, on the other hand, developed around local scenes, fanzines, and independent labels.
See, that's the femininity.
It never dominated the charts, but left a deep mark on the identity of alternative rock. By the end of the decade, glam rock was fading, while punk evolved into new forms like post-punk, hardcore, and new wave. These subgenres continued punk's original energy while incorporating more diverse and sometimes experimental elements. Far from being passing trends, glam rock and punk redefined what rock could be, a space for free expression, whether projecting an image or challenging the status quo.
Let me know if anybody agrees, or I'll just be mental.
Far from being passing trends, glam rock and punk redefined what rock could be, a space for free expression, whether projecting an...
I've been checking out a few of Eric Gronwall's videos. He popped David Bowie, or should I say Eric Gronwall looks like David Bowie. No, I was saying it right the first time. This picture of Bowie looks like Gronwall. Let me know if you agree with me. I think he does. His eyes definitely do.
image, or challenging the
so.
status quo. New Wave. New Wave emerged in the late 1970s as an artistic and technological response to the evolution of punk and the rise of new sonic possibilities. While retaining punk's spirit of rebellion, it chose a more melodic, visually driven, and electronically experimental path.
Medolic.
This movement took root mainly in the UK and the US, gaining momentum through bands like Talking Heads, The Cure, Blondie, Devo, and Duran Duran. These artists introduced synthetic
of all of
sounds,
them.
drum machines, and cleaner production, contrasting with punk's rawness. Guitars were still present, but now shared the soundscape with keyboards and digital effects. Beyond its sound, New Wave was distinguished
Tell
by
me
its
when the
visual
rally bar
identity.
turned up.
The arrival of MTV in 1981 played a central role in this shift. Music videos became artistic extensions of the songs. Stylized, and often conceptual, visuals became essential to each band's identity. Hairstyles, makeup, and fashion all became part of the message. Lyrically, New Wave addressed a wide range of themes: alienation, modernity, consumer society, and detached love. The tone could be cold, ironic, or even absurd. This dissonance contributed to a unique atmosphere, one of emotional distance and a search for identity in an increasingly technological world. Commercially, New Wave achieved major success. Bands like The Police, Eurythmics, and a-ha found massive audiences both on radio and television. Their ability to blend accessibility with inventiveness allowed the
Police is-
genre to reach a
Oh,
wide
wait.
demographic.
Police, the frontman, that's Phil Collins in it. I think that were in there. Is that Phil Collins? I'm sure it is.
Mix and a-ha
I'm here to
found
learn.
massive audiences both on radio and television. Their ability to blend accessibility with inventiveness allowed the genre to reach a wide demographic. From nightclubs to living rooms, New Wave songs became omnipresent. Structurally, New Wave was not a homogeneous genre. It encompassed a variety of subcurrents, some leaning toward pop rock, others toward post-punk, funk, or even avant-garde. This diversity enriched the
You know who's the T-boy in that band?
genre. It encompassed a variety of subcurrents, some leaning toward pop rock, others toward post-punk, funk, or even avant-garde. This diversity enriched the movement, though it also made its definition somewhat elusive. By the mid-1980s, New Wave began to evolve. Some bands pursued more commercial sounds, while others veered into darker or more experimental territory. The movement laid the groundwork for synth-pop, goth rock, and alternative indie. More than just a musical style,
Depeche
New Wave
Mode.
represented an era where technology, image, and sound merged. It marked a transition in rock towards a more electronic, conceptual world, deeply shaped by emerging
Check what it does.
Yeah. No.
media. Grunge and Britpop. In the early 1990s, two major movements redefined the
Cobain.
rock landscape, each rooted in a distinct
Nirvana.
cultural context. Grunge, born in the United States, expressed deep discomfort and disillusionment with consumer society and the legacy of the 1980s. Britpop, emerging shortly after in the United Kingdom, instead embraced national pride and pop-driven optimism in opposition to American dominance. Together, these two
The UK
movements
was
reflected
great
the
back in the
social and
90s.
musical tensions of a generation in flux. Grunge took shape in Seattle at the end of the 1980s, growing out of a local scene influenced by punk, metal, and indie rock. Bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden,
See, I think I figured something out a few days ago. This just made me think of it then. Indie. Is indie called indie because it's independent? Has my brain just come up with that at the age of 40 odd? Let me know. Again, I could Google that, but I'd prefer to read it. I'm sure it is. Indie? I'm probably wrong.
Pearl Jam, and Alice in Chains developed a heavy, saturated sound that was emotionally raw. Their lyrics explored dark themes: loneliness, depression, social alienation. The aesthetic was minimalist, even disheveled, a deliberate rejection of the visual excesses of 1980s glam metal. Nirvana's Nevermind, released in 1991, marked a watershed moment.
I had a mate
The
obsessed
album
with
became a
Nirvana.
global hit and thrust
He always had his
grunge into the
guitar with him
cultural
playing it.
mainstream. Yet this sudden exposure clashed with the underground spirit and anti-celebrity ethos that originally
R.I.P.
fueled the movement. Kurt Cobain's suicide in 1994 came to symbolize, for many, the end of this era. Meanwhile, in the UK, Britpop emerged as a direct counter to grunge and American cultural influence. Bands like Blur, Oasis, Pulp, and Suede revived a focus on British themes and styles. Drawing inspiration from 1960s rock icons like the Beatles and the Kinks, their music featured clear melodies and lyrics rooted in everyday life. Britpop celebrated optimism, but also explored class identity, nostalgia, and a uniquely British sense of humor. The media-fueled rivalry between Blur and Oasis, especially their simultaneous releases in 1995, turned into a national spectacle and cultural milestone.
I was never a part of that.
Despite their differences, both grunge and Britpop shared a common goal: to reject the norms of the previous decade. Grunge...
Back in them days, I were into any sort of music. If you've not been here before, you'll not heard me say this, but it was drum and bass 99% of the time and Oracle the rest of the time. Nothing else I used to listen to at all. So that's one of the reasons kind of why I started this channel. To learn stuff.
Spectacle and cultural milestone. Despite their differences, both grunge and Britpop shared a common goal: to reject the norms of the previous decade. Grunge deconstructed the image of the rock star as a heroic figure, while Britpop aimed to reclaim a local musical identity after years of foreign influence. By the late 1990s, both scenes began to fade. Some bands evolved, others disbanded, but their impact was lasting. Each, in its own way, redefined what rock could mean for a new generation. Post-rock. From the 1990s onward, a new musical movement emerged on the fringes of traditional rock: post-rock. This term refers to an experimental approach that questioned rock's usual structures, song formats, and even its sonic vocabulary. Post-rock isn't a rejection of rock, but rather an attempt to transcend it by exploring new expressive avenues. Post-rock bands moved away from traditional verse-chorus formats in favor of long, evolving instrumental compositions. These were often built on repetition, gradual progressions, and dynamic shifts. Emphasis was placed on textures, atmospheres, and volume changes rather than immediate melodies or lyrics. This brought post-rock closer to minimalist music, jazz, contemporary classical, or film scores. Foundational artists include Talk Talk, whose later albums broke away from conventional pop.
Never heard.
Their 1988 album, Spirit of Eden, marked this transition.
Not a clue.
So I asked Chat.
In the following decade, groups like Slint, Tortoise, Mogwai, Godspeed You, Black Emperor, and Sigur Rós established a distinct post-rock language.
Not heard of
Each had a
any of
unique
that.
approach. Slint favored rough, repetitive sounds. Tortoise incorporated jazz structures. Godspeed offered orchestral intensity. Sigur Rós created ethereal soundscapes with lyrics in invented Icelandic. Post-rock was never a commercially dominant genre. It developed through independent labels, niche audiences, and specialized media. Still, it earned critical acclaim for its innovation and its bold reshaping of what rock music could be. At the same time, post-rock influenced other genres. Shoegaze, ambient, and metal bands often adopted post-rock elements in their compositions. Even mainstream acts like
Was that a genre or the name of a band? What was it? Shoestring something or other?
Post-rock influenced other genres. Shoegaze, ambient, and metal bands
Shoegaze,
often adopted
ambient.
post-rock elements in their compositions. Even mainstream acts like Radiohead, particularly from their album Kid A onward, drew on its aesthetics to reinvent their sound. Post-rock remains a fluid, sometimes controversial label. It describes more of a creative process than a defined genre. What unites artists under this banner is a shared desire to explore sonic possibilities free from inherited conventions. Even today, post-rock continues to evolve. Though it remains outside mainstream circuits, it holds a strong influence in alternative music circles. It represents a form of artistic exploration within rock, focused on atmosphere, duration.
That picture at my head then, I thought it was him with a stripy jumper on with his legs up, and I couldn't figure out where these other legs was coming from. I thought it was sat on his lap.
And immersive listening experiences. Digital era. Since the early 2010s, rock music has evolved within a landscape profoundly shaped by digital technology. Often referred to as the digital era, this phase is defined by cultural, technological, and economic shifts that have transformed how music is produced, distributed, and experienced. While rock has lost some of its central position in popular culture, it continues to reinvent itself through hybrid forms and digitally connected experiences. Streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube have disrupted traditional distribution models. These new listening habits prioritize speed and accessibility, rewarding artists who adapt to short-form content and playlist-driven visibility. The album has lost some of its symbolic weight, while singles have regained prominence. Within this environment, rock increasingly blends with other genres. Acts like Imagine Dragons, 21 Pilots, and Youngblood fuse rock with elements of electronic music, hip-hop.
I've done a couple of Youngblood videos, never heard of Imagine Dragons, and I did 21 Pilots, but they blocked me. It's under dispute at the minute.
And pop. The boundaries between genres are
I can't
dissolving,
remember the name of the
and
song,
even the
though.
concept of a fixed rock identity is evolving. This musical hybridization reflects a broader cultural moment defined by fluidity and cross-pollination. The independent scene remains vibrant, supported by more accessible production tools and direct-to-fan digital distribution. Bands like Arctic Monkeys, Tame
they
Impala,
are.
and Måneskin maintain a recognizable rock identity while embracing contemporary
Arctic
sounds.
Monkeys.
Visual presentation, amplified by social media and video platforms, is now as crucial as the music itself in shaping an artist's persona. Live performance has also changed. Concerts remain important for artist legitimacy, but now coexist with virtual formats, live streams, and increased fan interactivity. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated this shift, prompting artists to rethink their connection to audiences via digital means. Though
Think
rock
it
is no longer the
accelerated a lot of
dominant
stuff
chart
that
genre,
did, didn't it?
it continues to thrive in multiple forms. It adapts to the digital landscape through experimentation, image building, and genre fusion. This era doesn't signify the end of rock, but rather its transformation into a more decentralized yet still vital creative force. The digital age is redefining rock's role in a globalized, interconnected, and constantly evolving world.
There we go. Right, yeah, most of that I did not have a clue right from the beginning. I knew that it started in America, but yeah, I kind of did know it came from the jazz age as well. But I've decided my eyes are burning after sitting this close to my TV. It's I'm guessing it's not particularly big to most people these days, but it's 55 inch here in this tiny little room. And I'm sat about 4 foot away from it. It's way too much, so I'm going to have to change things around so I can sit further back, should I say. 'Cause it hurts my eyes, it's just been so close. But never mind, I enjoyed that. Yeah, if there's anybody in there that you want me to check out, let me know in the comments. If there's nobody on there that you want me to check out, think of somebody else. I don't know. But yeah, give us a thumbs up if you made it this far. Put stuff in the comments for me to read and react to. And yeah, subscribe, that'd massively help me out. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. Bye bye.